Why most people quit right before income snowballs. Most people don't realize that the moment they give up is rarely the moment they are failing. In most cases, it is the moment right before things begin to work. Not because success is close in a dramatic way, but because progress often becomes quiet before it becomes powerful. At the beginning of any income journey, everything feels visible. Effort feels meaningful. Hope feels strong. Every action feels like movement. But as time passes and results remain small, that visibility disappears. The work continues, but the reward becomes harder to see. And this is where doubt quietly enters. Income growth does not behave the way most people expect. It does not rise steadily. It does not reward effort immediately. It does not follow motivation. Instead, it follows accumulation. Knowledge accumulates. Skill accumulates. Experience accumulates. Discipline accumulates. And until enough accumulation exists, income appears flat. Most people interpret that flat stage as failure. They begin to question their decisions. They wonder if they started too late. They wonder if others are simply more talented. They replay mistakes instead of recognizing progress. And slowly, confidence erodes not because they are doing the wrong things, but because the right things are taking time. What makes this phase dangerous is that it feels permanent. Days look the same. Weeks blur together. There is no breakthrough moment. No signal that says you are close. Just repetition and uncertainty. This is where most people quit. They don't quit when things collapse. They quit when things are forming. The human mind struggles with delayed reward. When effort is not followed by feedback, the brain assumes danger. It searches for certainty. It seeks relief. And quitting provides that relief instantly. The pressure disappears. The responsibility lifts. The uncertainty ends. But so does the future momentum. Most people never realize that income does not grow from intensity. It grows from endurance. Showing up once does nothing. Working hard for a short season changes nothing. Income multiplies only when action survives boredom. Boredom is the true test. Not failure. Not lack of money. Not lack of opportunity. Boredom. When the excitement fades and discipline remains, that is where wealth begins separating people quietly. Many people expect income to reward them emotionally. They want excitement. They want validation. They want signs that they are doing well. But income does not care how you feel. It responds only to consistency. This is why two people can start the same journey and end in completely different places. One stops when motivation disappears. The other continues when motivation is gone. And over time, that difference compounds into an unbridgeable gap. Another reason people quit is because early progress feels insignificant. The first results are small. The first income is unimpressive. The first wins feel almost embarrassing compared to the effort invested. So people say to themselves that it is not worth it. But small results are not meant to reward you. They are meant to prove direction. They are confirmation, not compensation. The problem is that most people expect compensation before confirmation. They want life-changing income before the system has even stabilized. And when reality does not match fantasy, disappointment takes over. But income snowballs never start large. They start dense. Density is built through repetition, through showing up again when yesterday produced nothing, through refining decisions when mistakes appear, through learning without applause. Every repetition strengthens the structure underneath. Even when the surface looks unchanged, people underestimate how much progress happens invisibly. Judgment improves quietly. Decision-making sharpens silently. Confidence forms gradually. These things do not announce themselves, but they eventually change outcomes. By the time income begins accelerating, the person has already changed. That is why it looks sudden to outsiders. What they do not see are the months of confusion, the self-doubt, the recalibration, the internal battles, the discipline practiced when no one was watching. Most people quit because they confuse emotional discomfort with misdirection. Feeling tired does not mean something is wrong. Feeling uncertain does not mean you chose incorrectly. Feeling frustrated does not mean the process has failed. It often means you are stretching beyond your previous limits. Growth is uncomfortable because it requires becoming someone you are not yet. Another reason people stop too early is comparison. They look at others who appear ahead and assume they are behind. They forget that progress is not synchronized. Everyone begins at different levels of awareness, exposure, and opportunity. Comparing timelines destroys patience. And patience is the currency that buys momentum. Most people also quit because they keep restarting. Every time discomfort appears, they switch paths. New plan, new idea, new direction. Each restart resets learning. Each reset delays compounding. Income does not reward experimentation forever. At some point, it rewards commitment. Staying long enough for cause and effect to connect is what creates breakthroughs. Many people also misunderstand effort. They believe effort alone produces success. But effort without refinement only creates exhaustion. What matters is not doing more, but doing slightly better each time. That improvement happens slowly. It happens when mistakes are studied instead of avoided. When feedback is accepted instead of ignored. When pride steps aside and learning continues. Those who stay long enough begin to see patterns. What works? What doesn't? Where energy should go? Where it should stop? That clarity cannot be rushed. And because it cannot be rushed, most people abandon the process before clarity arrives. Another reason people quit is fear of wasted time. They think staying too long might mean they lose years. But quitting early often wastes far more time. Because restarting later means relearning what was already close to being mastered. Time invested compounds only if you remain in the system. Momentum does not come from bursts. It comes from survival. Those who eventually experience income acceleration are rarely the most gifted. They are usually the ones who refuse to exit during uncertainty. They accepted that the middle would be uncomfortable. The middle is where confidence disappears. The middle is where excitement dies. The middle is where consistency becomes lonely. But the middle is also where structure forms. Once structure forms, income behaves differently. Decisions become faster. Mistakes become smaller. Opportunities become clearer. Efficiency increases. Results begin stacking. And suddenly, progress no longer feels heavy. But most people never reach that stage. They exit during the hardest part, which is not the beginning and not the end, but the long, quiet stretch in between. If you are currently in that stretch, where effort feels repetitive and results feel distant, it does not mean you are behind. It means you are in the phase most people never survive. This is the phase where discipline replaces excitement, where identity begins shifting, where patience becomes a skill. The snowball does not start rolling because you push harder. It starts rolling because enough mass has finally accumulated. Once momentum exists, the same actions produce more results. What once felt exhausting becomes efficient. What once felt slow becomes automatic. But momentum cannot be borrowed. It must be built. And it can only be built by staying. Quitting feels logical in the moment. But logic without vision is dangerous. Because logic evaluates the present, while vision protects the future. Most people quit based on how they feel today, not on where consistency could place them later. That is why they stop inches from momentum. Income snowballs are rarely dramatic at the start. They whisper before they roar. The tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that they stop right before it becomes easier. If you are still showing up, still learning, still adjusting, still moving forward even slowly, then nothing is wrong. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not incapable. You are simply in the phase that separates those who dream from those who endure. And endurance is what income ultimately rewards.